Okay, looks like we are live. So, time for me to get the old chat window happening, ready for people to arrive. If you're watching this back later, hey, how are you? How's everything treating you? There's a couple of people here. Oh, Gamer, Frostjump, and nobody here. Let me see. I'll pop out the chat so I can see it while I look at the Hangout. And we'll be all ready to rock and or roll. Hello, hello, and hello 2424. So, that's not bad. So yeah, good evening to you all, and hey there, Toby, via your Australian Crime Video Archives channel. I hope you're well this evening. As we gear up, usually takes a few minutes for a few more people to rock on in, but it's nice to see the early arrivals. Good on you for being keen, and hello, Connor, and hello, Will. 24, you want to win 569 million. That's a very precise number. I can understand wanting to win it. Is that a particular jackpot that's being advertised somewhere in the world? Or is there something you want to buy that costs $569 million? It's on Lotto Land. Oh, is it one of the American lotteries? US Powerball, right? Okay. Yeah, no, buddy, I'd be happy with considerably less than 569 million. It's weird the way that works. Now, that Lottoland site, if I remember rightly, when you're buying tickets in that, you're not actually buying a Powerball ticket, because to be in the US Powerball, you have to be in the US and possibly have to be a US citizen. But what those Lottoland and some other sites do, you're actually placing a bet on what the winning numbers will be, and they promise to pay you out a certain amount. I have to admit, I would take some convincing to believe sites like that aren't complete scams. Yeah, state-run lotteries are questionable enough themselves, but yeah, those third-party sites I have a real problem with. 24, read the fine print on the site. I am almost convinced you will find, if you buy a ticket from that site, you are not buying a ticket in the actual lottery. You are actually placing a bet on what the outcome will be, and they're promising to honor that bet. Now, when I say scam, that in and of itself is not a scam, because that's what they say they're doing. They don't really put it up front and center that you're not buying a ticket in this lottery, you're placing a bet, but you read inside. They never actually claim that you're buying a ticket in the lotto. Yeah, it's worth checking the fine print. And like I said, it would take some convincing to convince me that those sites weren't a scam. And in fact, there's a big question about whether it's even legal in Australia. Big Mac, opinion on fuckhead McHitler dog, his sentence and decision to appeal. Fine. Hi Charlie, how you doing? Look, I've never made a secret of my opinion of him being prosecuted and convicted. I think it's fucking ridiculous. I do also think he's lying about his motivations. Hi Stella. I just think what he did in the video wasn't extreme enough to warrant a prosecution. And I think prosecuting someone for just being stupid is it presents the danger of undermining important hate speech prosecutions, because I don't think his was important. He was a dickhead, certainly, and he's lying when he says he doesn't think it's funny to use extreme hate speech and upset people. I have no doubt whatsoever that's a blatant lie. I mean, that's an actual published tactic of neo-Nazi websites, let alone, you know, people like 4chan and the alt-right and other fucking hateful bigots who are barely removed from the Nazis. They say the normies shouldn't be able to tell whether or not you're joking. So you say something vile and offensive with a surface level, oh, this is all tongue-in-cheek, but they mean it. And I believe, I have no doubt at all that good old fuckhead McHitler dog is part of that group whose goal is to normalize hate speech. They don't want extreme anti-Semitic, anti-Islamic and racist and sexist and misogynist and hateful language to be regarded as extreme. It's all just a joke. And it's a really vile and disgusting tactic. I didn't hear that he was appealing the fine. All he ended up with was an £800 fine. And I mean, he can fucking go on GoFundMe and a bunch of idiot anti-Semitic racist fuckheads that give him thousands of pounds overnight. So he's going, on principle, I hope it backfires and he gets something fucking worse. And hey, Ape TV, how are you going? A Big Mac, I don't. It's just that he's not that extreme. Even someone who openly preaches blatantly Nazi propaganda, you know, like Richard Fuckhead, whatever his name, who got punched in the face, or the various dickheads who've been in Trump's ear, like Steve Bannon, the Breitbart. They don't deserve. I don't believe. I at least haven't seen anything from them that I think would warrant prosecutable hate speech. But Nazis can't be allowed to be normalized. You shut them the fuck down, because when they get normalized, people start getting killed. I mean, the rise of this extreme white supremacist ideology under the various banners, you know, alt-right, or, you know, the various other euphemisms they like to use, has prompted me to read more history than I ever did. And the rise of the Nazis in Germany is terrifyingly similar to what we're seeing today. Demagogue leaders who say the media is the enemy of the people, creating an other that all the hate can be directed against, undermining the very concept of truth, and normalizing hate speech. I mean, you realize before Hitler was even fully in his power, his brown shirts were murdering Jews and getting away with it. That's how much, when you normalize that level of hate speech, that's the sort of thing that starts happening. And we've had a bunch of mass killers who were closely tied with these ultra-right groups, like that prick who drove the van into the people in Canada, and his hero Elliot Rodger, and a whole bunch of other mass shooters who ascribed to the ultra-right ideology. There's a straight line between preaching that radicalizing ideology and someone actually taking it seriously and going out and killing people. It's the same as the fucking you know, jihadist schools in the Middle East. You know, the teachers at those schools who tell incredibly impressionable kids that they should be waging jihad against the West, that they should be martyrs, they should kill. Then they claim, well, I didn't strap the bomb to him or I didn't put him behind the wheel of the car. Yeah, maybe not, but there's a straight fucking line between what you preach and the actions of these people. And 24, that line, I think most Nazis are trolls. No, see, that's the problem. What these people that you're saying are just trolls are doing, normalizing Nazi-inspired hate speech. And I'm sorry, but Hitler did that. I mean, I know it's also the big cliche, like, well, that was what Hitler did. But the history shows us that this is literally exactly what happened. And if you allow these people to normalize hate speech, you get more and more killings done inspired by this hate speech. And it's ridiculous to say otherwise. Hey, Jatma, how's it going? Game of Frost move, 800 pounds. Think he should have got a bigger penalty. Look, this is just my opinion. I don't think he even should have been prosecuted because it was just stupid. And I think it undermines serious issues of hate speech. But yeah, him and the thousands of his supporters I've had harassing me for a month or so now are worthless fucking garbage. I mean, when they say like, what? No, he's not a Nazi sympathizer at all. Yeah, well, I think a month of anti-Semitic, homophobic, racist, misogynist, ableist, just hate slurs that have been directed at me for over a month now tells me everything I need to know about him and his supporters. So it's and I mean, I'm a straight white guy. The level of hate I got was down here. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I'm on the internet. I see. The level of hate I got is here. Simply being a woman who has an opinion, the level of hate is going to get you up here. It'll be non-stop harassment designed to drive you off the internet, designed to force you into silence. And it's not just trolls on the internet. It's media talking heads. It's politicians. We've had so many examples of it in Australia. If you dare to stray outside the orthodoxy of what right-wingers say is acceptable, they try to destroy your life. And if you happen to be a woman, it's going to be worse. And if you happen to not be white, it's going to be way worse. I mean, there's an Aboriginal comedian writer revealed this week he's had police coming around to the place where he lives at night wanting to interview him because they think the things he's been saying are a bit angry. This is in Queensland, surprise, surprise. So cops coming, he wasn't actually living at the house. It was the house he used to live at, but it's the address the cops had. They came around multiple times at night wanting to talk to him about his motivations because as far as they're concerned, he was sounding a bit angry. This is like blatant intimidation tactics. And it's mainstream behavior in this country, in America. Like, again, that's the other thing that shits me. Bloody fuckhead McHitler dog acting like a martyr, but him and his thug cronies go out of their way to try and silence and shut down anyone they don't like. They're fucking liars and hypocrites and cowards, the bunch of them. 85 in exact. Where did I grow up? I grew up in country New South Wales, actually. Way out west, way out in the middle of the state. And then I lived in Sydney for 10 years, and now I live in Melbourne. My 20th anniversary in Melbourne. Do I like bagpipes? I'm not huge on bagpipes. They can be good. it's a pretty abrasive noise bagpipes make, so it probably depends on context. Oh, Stella, Sir Joe's legacy is very strong in Queensland. Look at Peter Dutton, the fucking Nazi potato in the government here, former Queensland drug cop, is the personification of all the brutality and police state mentality that Bjelke Peterson brought to Queensland. Yeah, exactly. The 14 words. 14. It's not 13. What about death metal? I don't know. Most death metal sounds like a parody of death metal to me. So I used to be into metal when I was a teen. I think metal is like young people's music, particularly young males' music. I was into metal as a teenager. Will, what's my opinion of Sargon? Look, same deal. He's a fucking lying, hypocritical coward. And he made multiple attack videos against me, sicking his mob onto me. Seemed really miffed that I never responded to him. I think these right-wingers have really fragile egos. If you don't validate them, it upsets them a lot. And look, if all I wanted out of the world was a lot of attention on YouTube and views at any cost, I would have engaged and encouraged that drama. But I have no interest in it. I have no interest in people like that defining me and what I'm doing. So when they do that, whether it's sad fuck of ass hat or, the shit stain bear, close relative of the Berenstain bear, or more recently, fuckhead McHitler dog, I'm not responding because they can do what they want, but I'm not letting them define me. But in fact, I actually should put a big disclaimer of those three. Fuckhead Hitler dog was completely within his rights to have a go at me because I made a video about his case. Now, I honestly didn't expect it to register on his notice. I think it was the shit stain bear who brought it to his attention. I did, when I made a video talking about the Hitler dog, I never expected him to see or notice it. I was literally just talking about a news story. I wasn't starting drama on YouTube with another YouTuber because as a general rule, I don't do that. I talk about news. And this was a fairly significant news story. And but it was about him and completely completely legitimate for him to respond because I said shit about him. So he can say whatever he likes about me. I mean, anyone can say whatever they like about me. But I say he is actually different to these other fuckwits who I had no knowledge of their existence when they decided to have a go at me and sick their little hate mobs on me. The other thing I fucking hate about those shitty fucking cowards is they sick their hate mob onto people, but they go, oh, I don't want people to do that. I can't control that. They know exactly what they're doing. But they also know that's against YouTube terms of service and they're worried about losing their account. So they do this mealy-mouthed shit-eating disclaimer like, oh, you should not harass the subject of this video. You fucking cowards. That's the one thing that shits me completely, that they're almost invariably cowards. They won't even stand behind what they say. And I didn't mean for a hate mob to attack that person. Fuck off, you fucking cowards. And every now and then someone tries to defend them to me. Oh, no, actually, I feel 1000% justified in passing judgment on these cunts because I've been on the receiving end of their bullshit multiple times without ever having done anything to them. So fuck them and fuck anyone who excuses what they do. If someone's a fan of their work, that's fine. I don't mind. You watch what you want. You get into what you want. But I'm not going to hold back at all from passing judgment on them, because it's not just that they're hypocrites who are practicing thuggish bullying, trying to shut down people they don't like. That is what they're doing. It's premeditated and it's their intention. But they're sniveling fucking cowards who won't even stand behind it. I mean, as far as I know, fucking Berenstain Shitstain is still not even showing his face. He's that much of a fucking coward. He's that he knows how vile the shit he's saying. There might be this little feedback loop. I mean, because a big chunk of the world is fucking vile, quite honestly. It's just, it's the cowardice that really gets to me. Big Mac, how can you grow a moustache like mine? Persistence. Is it true story? For whatever reason, I did not grow much facial hair when I was younger. It was not like I was about 27 that I could even grow what approximated a beard. It used to make my friends jealous because I didn't have to shave, because shaving's a real pain in the ass. Which is basically, as soon as I could grow a beard, I did. So I've had a beard for like 20 years because I'm not that keen on shaving. Big Mac saying bearing down a face for, well, I know a bunch of people who really don't like him, who went to outing him. Like, people have sent me photos of them and told me his name and stuff about him. I don't care. I'm just not that interested. Look, nobody. I have no problem with what anyone's into. I don't dictate what people do for entertainment, or even what people's views are. If someone asks me my opinion, I am going to say it. Tara, hello, finally here. Oh my God, your car blew up and you had to get towed home. Well, that kind of sucks, quite honestly. 24. I used to do boxing. If you grew up in the country, I mean, they have them in the city too. And I don't know how big they are in the city, but when I were a young lad, the big thing to do was to go to the Police Boys Club, which is now, of course, called, well, it was the PCBC, Police and Citizen Boys Club. PCYC, Police Citizen Youth Club. They changed, rightly so, they changed it to be youth rather than just boys. God, a long time ago, 80s, late 70s, maybe. But that's where you go to play sport, at the Police Youth Club. And some people basketball or whatnot. There were various things. I did boxing because my dad was a boxer and my older brother too. I never did it competitively because I didn't want to get punched in the head. But I did the training pretty hardcore for a year or two. That shit gets you fit. I mean, as people say, you should do it again. Yes, it is true. I am a fat bastard. There's no way around that. Oh, Chris, you read Kill or Be Killed. Cool. Yeah, no, it's fucking great. Seriously, anything by that creative pairing. Oh God, brain go blank. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Ed Brubaker, the writer, and Sean Phillips, the artist. They've paired up on a bunch of stuff, and it's all good. Hey, Big Pat, how's it going? Toby, you're getting killed in bagpipes. Well, go for it, I guess. But no. What are the other Brubaker Phillips ones? There's a series called Criminal, which is about criminals, which is great. There's one called the Big Fade Out, which is set in mid 20th century Hollywood, which I actually haven't finished reading. There's one about masked superhumans called Incognito, which was great. What else have they done? They've done a few, but the latest is Kill or Be Killed. That's still running, and it's fucking great. Tara, you're asking what's worn under the kilt. Well, if you ask a Scotsman what's worn under the kilt, the answer is nothing. It's all in perfect working order. I still have, yeah, of course, I still have my kilt. I haven't worn. I don't know. They might be as foolish as to have something about Cultural Diversity Day at work, and I might wear my kilt to that. Tara say I'm too much of a chicken to go out in public without undies under my kilt. You don't know that. Whether or not I've done this is between me and the kilt and any sudden gusts of wind. Yes. Oh, look, it's the saddest little boy in the world. He's gone again. Just don't understand why people have such empty lives. They have to be so boring. Oh, Stella, my lady likes the kilt. Definitely. Yes. Kilt is a good look. Game of Frost. Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, that's a joke when I say nothing's worn. It's all in perfect working order. But that is traditional. It is traditional to not wear anything under the kilt. This is where you get the famous scene in Braveheart where they flash the British. Yes, that is the tradition for the kilt. Although, mind you, yeah, somewhat related to that. For those who don't know, the whole thing with tartans and whatnot is a relatively recent invention. Like a lot of people think, oh, the tartans go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they don't. I think the Scottish aristocracy started inventing them in the mid-19th century. Let me check. I might be talking complete crap. When did tartan start? Yeah, I thought so. 19th century. There's a there's a vibe that that was a real long tradition going back hundreds and hundreds of years. It's not, and it was invented in the 19th century. Yes, Pat, you're coming to the meetup. Cool. In about 2 weeks. It'll be fun. And I'm going to make some videos that you'll be seeing on my channel because I'm getting some people along. To have one person wearing a banana suit and one person wearing a gorilla suit, and to have the gorilla chase the banana. Basically, it's actually slightly more involved with that, but this will be it. This will be my big viral video. This will be my big viral video. Stella, the brief intro on Wikipedia says, generally regarded that clan tartans date no earlier than the beginning of the 19th century. They're an example of an invented tradition. It is maintained by many that clan tartans were not in use at the time of the Battle of Culloden in 1746. And that is where a lot of Scottish nationalism comes from. Culloden was a particularly bloody battle between the Brits and the Scots. But it's obviously hard to be completely sure, but generally held consensus is they were invented in the early 1800s. You got to go, Gamer. Thanks for dropping by. You got work at 3 a.m. I would not be looking forward to that either. I hope you survive your shift. God, I'm annoyed enough at having to get up at like 6. It's 6:30 actually. I have my alarm on these days. But yes, it's a 24. Life's high all day long. Okay, fair enough. We don't have well, actually, there are trials of medicinal marijuana in Australia, and it's funny, like how quickly the tide turned. It's not irreversible, but the number of US states that, under state law, recreational marijuana is legal, but it's still illegal at the federal level. And Trump's Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, is so conservative. He keeps making noise about wanting to prosecute people under federal law who are acting under state law, making legal. It's like, he's so detached from reality. It's really, really weird. Pat, I have no idea yet if Dami Lowe is going to go to the YouTube. I think she's actually going to be in Germany, so I'm going to say no. 24. The guy who made the song "Wake Me Up," he died at 28. I have no idea. But heard that? I don't know. Oh, you're working with the Cows Gamer. Okay, yep. Have a good time. Get some sleep. Big Mac. I've never really been the Holden Ford thing. I'm not really a car person. Admittedly, growing up in the country, I was Holden. Was like a Peter Brock fan. And hey, Mr. Puggy Wins, how's it going? Oh, okay. You're talking about Avicii. I had no idea who you were talking about because I don't really know any of Avicii's oeuvre. I have heard of him and I knew he had died, but I didn't know that's who you were referring to. Yeah. So, yeah, I grew up in the country in New South Wales, and of course, there used to be the big car race in Bathurst, which was not that far from where I lived. And it was the big race that was called the Hardy Ferodo, and then the James Hardy 1000. Yeah, I was always the Peter Brock supporter in that. He's racing for the Holden team. Yeah, look, I was not a fan of growing up in the country. I'm the only one of my family who lives in a big city because I don't count Brisbane as a big city. I do have family who moved to Brisbane. I had a sister who lived in Sydney and a brother who lived in Sydney for a little while, but they both moved back to the country. Me, on the other hand, have never gone back to the country once they got to the big city. Yeah, after finishing college, I lived in Sydney. And yes, now Melbourne. I just do not like the country very much. Nerd. If she breathes, she a thought. Well, you're a stellar individual. Okay. So it's just that for me, it's yeah, the country's just not for me. Uh, like I said, the rest of my family, they all still live in the country. Barisha, you're a country fan. Cities are filthy and full of disease. Polluted, certainly, in comparison. The air quality is lesser in the big cities than it is in the country. It's just the fucking isolation that I don't like. And the isolated thinking it tends to encourage. And that was in me too when I was growing up there. Not pretending to be some special otherworldly little flower. I was as closed in my thinking as anyone when I grew up in the country. But yeah, it's just not for me. Nerd, calm. I'm joking, dude. For real, if you think you need to say calm to me at that point, you don't know me at all. Chat, you say public transport's the #1 way to get the flu, but also immunity. Yeah, every now and then, like one of those ridiculous current affairs shows on the commercial channels will get an expert in saying all the horrible diseases that are on public transport. And like so you can't have to play someone with sneeze their head. And I was like, oh, there's germs everywhere, and they obsessively go germs everywhere. I see those people. It's like that's just humans interacting with humans means germs. And when they go, oh, you can't touch anything, you can't be there, I mean, germs. I was thinking, God, imagine having sex with that person. I mean, they wouldn't want to do anything, would they? It's like, what? You want me to do what? Put what where? Honestly, do you? Oh, you know what sort of germs you can get doing that? What you want to? You want me to put my mouth where? Are you insane? I just think those germphobes would be fucking shit in bed. Quite honestly. 24, you have OCD. If you genuinely have OCD, that makes your life very difficult. Yeah. See, you're saying there was the last bubonic plague outbreak in Australia was in 1901. That makes sense. The big cities in the early 20th century were fucking filthy. I mean, America has rodents that carry the Black Plague today. And individuals have contracted it from bites, I think. It hasn't sort of spread person to person. But yeah, I mean, as recently as the early 20th century, the big cities were fucking vile, and working conditions in the big cities were, oh, I forgot, you're probably all deprived. Jane, look, see, although she's sound asleep, Mimsy is here tonight, but she's sound asleep at the moment. But I thought people would like to see her. Pat, I did not see your YouTube yet. Oh, 24, you wash so hard with soap and sanitizer it dries your skin out. Yep. You're gonna have to find some sort of balance for that. I empathize with you. So she's all sleepies. Yeah, come on, say hello to the people. They want you to say hello. She likes being scratched. Charlie loves you. Everyone loves you, Mimsy. Likes being scratched. She always jumps on my bed at night to bug me. It's like my hand down by my side, and she just headbutt my hand until I pat her, give her a little scratch. So I forgot that she was there. She was sound asleep and really quiet. Name a Menzies. No, I'm not going to do that, Chatmo. She's Mimsy. Her name comes from that line from the poem The Jabberwocky, or Mimsy and the Borogoves. And that came because we got her from, like, she's a rescue cat. She came from the Lord Smith Animal Hospital, and she was, I think, more than a year old when we got her. And she'd already had one litter of kittens, and they desexed her. And because she'd had kittens, they were just calling her Mummy Cat. And we weren't going to call her Mummy, but we were tossing around what we call her. And I thought, well, if they've been calling her Mummy, do something that sounds like that. And I came up with Mimsy. Nerd Viva. That's the only reason I'm here with a cat. She's more popular than me, and I might get more views that way. Oh my God. A picture of a cat looking up a skirt with a speech bubble saying, I fail to understand the comparison. It would be interesting to know when pussy was first used as slang for vulva, because it goes back a long way in history, I think. Yes. Will, you're a dog person. My son wants a dog, but he's kind of out of luck because he's the only one in the house who wants a dog, and the cats definitely wouldn't agree to it. Toby, do I like BDSM? Look, I tend not to answer specific questions about my sex life, not because of prudishness, but because that's violating Mrs. Angry's privacy. And I can say shit about myself as much as I do, but it's not something she signed up for, so I don't do it. On a related topic, I do have friends on Twitter. I have friends on Twitter who are BDSM mistresses. They're funny people. And I say that because that I've never engaged them in professional capacity, just friends with them. And they tend to be both funny and interesting people. Aussie, you want a Kerry Anderson style super marionation show about me and AIDS here? That would really work. AD piloting a jet and saving Melbourne. So what's that, Tara? We had easers before we got modern sewage systems? What is easers? Oh, your cat, 18-year-old Jasper, nicknamed the Baron because he's hardcore, still kills birds and mice. This one, not so much. She's probably a teenager now, she's feeling her age a bit. I mean, I caught her yesterday just in the backyard out here. She's in this pose, like a hunter pose, ready to pounce. And so I had a look, and there were a couple of like turtle doves at the other side of the yard, and he she was acting like she was going to pounce. And I'm like, no, you're not. I think those birds know that, and they're used to you, and they're not scared of you. But she's doing this. I could at any second, I could pounce. And she's just, and the birds actually walked closer to. They like closed half the distance of the yard, and Mimsy's just sitting there. I could pounce. I could definitely do it. And she didn't. You didn't do it, did you? You didn't do it. Because you're old like me. You're old and don't want too much activity. Puggy wins. You have the dog named Suki, which suits her. Oh, and nobody has a cat named Suki. There you go. That's interesting. I think I've known someone who had a pet called Suki, as in Suki. And I think this was a long time ago, and I think that dates back to that really old kids rhyme, Polly put the kettle on, we'll all have tea. Suki, take it off again. I just happen to Mimsy is a complete wuss. I'm really lucky there's no mean cats in this neighbourhood. In our last house, the neighbour had a big male cat, actually a really pretty cat, but it was a real bully and would attack both my cats all the time. And both my cats are wusses. Bye, Toby. Catch you later. Oh, Mimsy's having a stretch. And settling down. You don't really want to go anywhere, do you? Yeah, no, you sort of lick yourself while everyone's watching. That's really tasteful, Mimsy. Thank you for that. Good Lord. Hey, speaking of tasteless, the name I gave this a reference to Kanye going a bit off the deep end and professing his love for Donald Trump. Has anyone been paying attention to that? Because that's really weird. This is the same Kanye who on live TV had his little rant on a benefit for Hurricane Katrina saying George Bush hates black people. And now he says he loves Trump. Trump, who has actively courted the Klan, who has actively supported neo-Nazis, who's when there's been a racist hate rally, Trump said some of them are very fine people. And it's almost as if all Kanye wants is attention. It's almost as if integrity isn't a thing that exists for him. I mean, oh, wacky. Who saw that with Kanye? Attention was more important to him than anything. And Trump is just bathing in it. That's so fucking strange. My favorite thing was the amount of really high profile black entertainers who unfollowed Kanye after saying all this positive shit about Trump. That was really funny. Like, it's in one way it's super passive aggressive, but it's also really public. It's the real public turning the face away, like, no, I shan't associate with you anymore, Kanye. And I honestly think Kanye's going to have trouble dealing with that because, yeah, being rejected by people when you're that much of a narcissist. And now he's just hanging out like he was hanging out with some other fucking right wingers who have a long racist history, but it's just like, no, we love Kanye now. It's like Kanye's doing a minstrel show for them. It's ridiculous. And a lot of people saying like, oh, you can't talk black people, they're not allowed to because of course they are. And the idea of treating a group like they're an amorphous blob is absolutely ridiculous. And so looking at the things Kanye said and going, what the fuck is this? It's certainly not saying, you know, black people can't be Republicans. That's ridiculous. I'm not even saying black people can't be Trump supporters. I think that's a fucking stupid state of affairs, but people do stupid shit all the time. It's just such a ridiculous thing to support an obvious white supremacist. Oh, Bobby Digital, could you be more fucking racist? Do you think you're being progressive? Saying a phrase like, hopefully other blacks will think twice before having individual thoughts, despite exactly what I said. No, you are clearly and obviously worthless racist filth. And this whole, like, having your pet black entertainer who's, oh no, he said he likes Trump, therefore everyone likes Trump. Like, as I pointed out, for the same person to have said George Bush hates black people when Donald Trump actively courts the Klan, neo-Nazis, and other white supremacists is just ridiculous. And all it shows is Kanye is desperate for attention, and the integrity of that attention doesn't matter. Oh, I thought it was hilarious. His wife's been giving him a smackdown, and Kanye has actually said, "Oh, my wife said to say I don't agree with Trump on everything." And then when he showed some pictures of his house, he's going, "Oh, my wife told me I wasn't meant to do that." That is so weird. Now, this is really interesting. See, I don't know how usernames work on this live thing. Because, okay, no, it's not Count Dankula. I didn't think it would be. It's just someone who's faking the name. Fair enough. I think he wastes time on me quite. Oh, Bobby Digital, fuck off, you fucking liar. You're not black. You're just not, kid. Okay? It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And if you're going to be boring and stupid, then you don't deserve to be around, okay? Oh, look, I've got an anonymous account. Speaking as a black person who's definitely black and not some right-wing white troll who's got no life experience and thinks that everyone's as stupid as he is. Fuck off, you pathetic fucking child. Honestly. Honestly. Can't take it. No, I was reserving judgment because I know people can just put whatever username they want there. And as I said, we actually had a discussion about him earlier. I have always just assumed I was beneath his notice. It was actually never my intention to attract his attention at all. So yeah, there's popcorn. It's just like, it is the weirdest thing. You see this all the time online. Idiots with anonymous accounts, and they say such obvious things. Like, they might as well be saying, speaking as a black person who's definitely black and not some stupid little white kid trying to make a point that he thinks no one can see through. I think white men are the true persecuted minority, and that's the truth. And everyone needs to get over slavery. It's just like, I actually just said that the idea of treating black people like an amorphous blob is ridiculous. And Kanye can say whatever he wants, no matter how nonsensical it is. And it's not like he's ever been shy about saying nonsensical things. But I just think the way he's been carrying on for the last day or so is funny. And the two bits that really made me laugh was his wife telling him to stop it, and a bunch of really high-profile black celebrities on Twitter unfollowing. Oh, and I did see a thing because everyone uses lines and references and jokes from Get Out these days. So yeah, if you still haven't seen that movie, it's fucking great. Go and see it. It's just a very well-made movie. It's very entertaining. And there's a reference to The Sunken Place, and it really has multiple meanings. And of course, in the context of the movie, people started saying Kanye saying all these positive things about Trump. Kanye's in the sunken place, and Kanye took the bait, and that's when he started posting pictures of his house, which I have to say is really empty. I was like, it was all white furnishings and white walls, and it was really sterile. Like it looked like a really shit place. So I'm sure it's a huge, sprawling, expensive man. I mean, it's fucking Kanye West. I'm sure it's a fucking mansion. But I don't know. The bits he showed of the decor didn't appeal to me at all. But he posted pictures saying, "Oh, does this look like I'm living in the sunken place?" And I actually saw a tweet. The writer director of Get Out, Jordan Peele, actually responded to that and quoted the tweet, going, "I have an idea." Starts writing sequel to Get Out. So he's talking about he is going to do a Get Out sequel, and it'll be about Kanye, which would be hilarious. Oh, Puggy Wins, you're still going for your World War II artillery model. I see. I think scale model building is very interesting. I've done a bit in the past. I've rarely had the patience for it, but I quite admire it. Someone who has the patience and skill to do it well. Nerd Vivo, you're Danish. There is no such thing as anti-white racism in the US. That is an utterly absurd statement. It's as simple as that. It doesn't exist, and saying it does is utterly fucking absurd. Stella with the random question. Has there ever been a movie made of the Call of Cthulhu? Not a big movie. Not a big movie. I mean, there may have been like a Hammer horror film made inspired by the Lovecraft stories, but I'm quite sure there's never been a big movie of the Call of Cthulhu. Yes, foolish person who's used the handle of Count Dankula. If you're boring and stupid, you go away. Okay, that is the most pathetic attempt at being a troll I've seen. If you're boring, you're fucking off, okay? Soapbox. Well, okay, depends what you call racism. A lot of people argue that it's only racism when it's institutional, when there's a power structure that persecutes through law and holds people back based on race. And by that definition, anti-white racism doesn't happen in America. Look, let's just say bigotry happens everywhere. There is no religion, race, ethnic group, culture that is immune to bigotry. And anyone who says bigotry doesn't exist is kind of stupid. And anyone who says that there aren't circumstances where white people will get race-based anger directed at them unfairly, that's also not facing reality. But in terms of institutional racism, you ever notice the people who say, "Oh, you know where there's no power? White people." They're doing it from media platforms that they dominate, with 90% of the faces you see being white. And they use their daily media outlets to say, "I'm being silenced." It's just horse shit, and it's pathetic. Charlie, you saw Pauline in Gilhooly's a few years ago, and everyone's just ignoring is the best thing to do. Although she was in Melbourne last year, I think, and when some people saw her, they were like, "Fuck off out of my city." Hi, Mr. Keenan. Yes, it's Mimsy. Wow. People want to see you, Mimsy. Oh my God. She's sleeping. This is like a shopping bag there. We noticed she would sit on bags, like she'd sit on my laptop bag and go to sleep, rather than sit on a bit of open floor. She likes sitting on bags. So we deliberately set this perch up for her so she'd sit somewhere out of the way. And so sometimes she's there when I'm doing live streams, so I share a live stream with her. Yeah, soapbox. Yeah, I think like I said, sometimes when people just blanket say there's no racism against white people, some people hear there is never any race-based prejudgment or prejudice against white people ever, and there obviously is. But the people who say there's no racism against white people usually mean that there is an institutional racism and there's no history of institutional racism against white people. Doesn't mean that there are not people who don't have prejudicial ideas and attitudes and behavior to white people. That does happen. Mr. Keenan, hello. Oh, cool. We've met. See, people say, why do I do YouTube? Because I'm obviously not trying to be a superstar, because I'd be a lot less abrasive if I wanted to have a mass audience. Honestly, I'd also put more work into my videos as well. But the reason I do YouTube is to have fun and meet people. And I have met so many people through YouTube, and it is a lot of fun. Nerd Vivo, that is an interesting point you are raising. Explain to me a bit more what you're saying. You're saying comparison. You're saying anti-white racism. Okay, it's not a thing in America, but anyway, you're saying about freedom of speech works in US compared to Denmark, where you own up to what you say. Also means feminism is not a thing. So here's the thing. I think a lot of women would disagree with you. But hey, I'm just going out on a limb there. But I'm interested because I don't know a lot about Denmark, by which we can say kind of nothing. I would be very interested in your view of what's the difference with the concept of free speech in Denmark as opposed to the concept of free speech in America. Then we'd also get onto the topic of how these, usually but not exclusively, American trolls who obsess over the concept of free speech, they don't even know what they're talking about. They seriously seem to think free speech means they can never be held responsible for anything they say. They can never suffer any repercussions for anything they say. And everyone should be forced to listen to them all the time on all platforms in all mediums. And if anyone ever says, well, I own this medium or I own this platform and you're a toxic piece of shit and I don't want you on this platform, they go, that's against free speech. It isn't. But, you know, I see. You're saying the government protects freedom of speech and you don't have legal protection of free speech in Denmark? Is that what you're saying? I will definitely say hi. I always encourage people to stay and say hi. Oh, right. Sorry, it was doing that thing where I don't see anything. No, he's gone. Boring makes you go away. Yes. Well, see, the interesting thing is um, there's no formal legal protection of free speech in Australia either. There are conventions that support free expression, but there's no legal or constitutional protection of free speech. So are you using that phrase? I'm interested in what you mean by that. You own up to what you say. Uh, does that mean in Denmark you held legally liable for what you say? Because you're held legally liable for it in the US as well. This is the other thing. People start. It bugs me when people say things like free speech, and they literally don't know what it means. The constitutional protection of free speech in the US, in the Constitution, it says Congress shall pass no law limiting speech. It means the government is not meant to prosecute you for things you say. And there are exceptions to that, like being black. Ask Niggers with Attitude. They got arrested just for having a song called Fuck the Police, or performing it, because some redneck cops said that's incitement. So, you know, there are limits to free speech in America. And more generally, you can't slander someone if you if your speech is credible incitement to violence or crime. That isn't protected speech. And there are lots of states who still want to prosecute porn in the states, because they argue that's not protected speech. So oh, right. Sorry. I wonder what you're saying. Yes, I did refer to the band Niggers with Attitude. That is true. There is no such thing as absolute free speech. And the cretins who say it annoy the shit out of me. It's like, if you don't even know the basic meaning of words and phrases and concepts, maybe don't use them. Like, it was like, people said, you know, because I think Count Dankula is a piece of shit. And, oh, you're such a hypocrite. You don't like, no, I'm being really consistent. I'm saying he is spouting hate speech, and I'm opposed to hate speech and the people who spout it. Hypocrisy would be if then I went off and spouted hate speech, which I don't. So it's like, maybe don't use words you clearly don't understand the meaning of. I don't know. That appears to be far too much to ask. So, yeah. Oh, nobody never knew what NWA stood for. You ever see there's a pretty good film dramatising the early days of NWA and the West Coast rap stuff, called Straight Outta Compton. And when they get signed by a white record manager, label manager, and they say they're called NWA. He likes their sound and he signs them. He thinks it's going to be big. And he goes, oh, NWA. What does that stand for? No whites allowed? And they just go, niggers with attitude. And he just goes, oh, okay, it was more full on than I thought. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. There's another creative troll. I mean, these trolls are so smart and clever and insightful. They pwn me so badly. I'm a Nazi. Yes. This is like that pathetic, juvenile dribble that they go, you know, opposing Nazis makes you as bad as a Nazi. It's just like, it's like being a flat earther. It's like at a certain point, you are too stupid to waste time on. And it's just like, no, I don't think I will bother to engage someone who would say something as cretinous as opposing Nazis makes you as bad as a Nazi. It's just too stupid to engage with. Puggy Wins have done fan meetups. I don't really regard them as fan meetups. I regard them as community meetups. I do meetups all the time. We have them on a semi-regular basis. Got one coming up in a couple of weeks here in Melbourne. So been doing... You have violent rhetoric to different views. No, I don't have violent rhetoric to different views. Nazis are enemies of humanity and must be stopped. You don't stop Nazis with words. That's not a different view. Nazism is not a view. Nazism is a sickness. Nazism, by its central tenet, is about exterminating others, okay? So fighting Nazis is self-protection and protection of others, and only a fucking cretin would say otherwise. Okay, boring child. How do I define a Nazi? Well, a real telltale sign are the ones with the swastikas, the ones who worship Hitler, the ones who do the Hitler salutes, the ones who talk about genocide, the ones who talk about racial superiority. You know, the Nazi ideology. It's pretty goddamn straightforward. Ooh, you sound like Hitler. You know, when you oppose Hitler, you sound like Hitler. Oh my God. You worthless, pathetic child. Charlie, I appreciate where you're going there, but I don't think young Andy is playing dumb. I think he's a very unintelligent child. 24, there's someone on 4chan claiming to be a god. Man, you find them on every second street corner. It's not that unusual. It is honestly not that unusual for people to try and set up cults. In fact, what I've seen on YouTube over the years is how disturbingly, okay, Andy, I want you to know deep down, you're very, very boring. You're exceptionally boring. And one of various levels of things we don't tolerate here is really, really boring people. You're too stupid to waste any more time on, so you go bye-byes now. For fuck's sake, these fucking children think they have anything of value to contribute to the world. Ooh, Peter, that's pretty harsh. Jonathan Pye level of insightful thinking. Man, that Jonathan Pye became a self-parody quite quickly, didn't he? Started off being fun and innovative, and then kind of disappeared up his arsehole, his own arsehole, quite quickly. I've run out of drink. Let me get in the drink. I need some ice. What to do? What to do? What to do? What to do? What do I do? A herbal libation. This. Okay. So. Oops. Hang on. I do need ice, baby. I'm a big fan of ice. I always put a lot of ice in my drinks, and because we had the like lots of parts of the world, there's a bit of a drug problem here with ice or meth or whatever you want to call it, and there were various campaigns to try and tell people doing ice, as in meth, is bad. And this is when my kids were quite young, pre-teen, maybe even under 10, we're driving past a big billboard that said, ice is a dirty drug. And they went, yeah, Daddy, you do too much ice. It's dirty. And they were very pleased with themselves for that joke. This is, when you see this drink, it's gonna look like a urine sample. Just warning you ahead of time. It's like a pineapple drink that I'm adding lemonade to. Some herbal libation in there as well, which is green. The pineapple stuff is quite sweet. The herbal stuff cuts the sweetness a bit. But now it looks like I'm drinking a urine sample. Oh yeah. Peter Thrupp, Doc Ellis pitched no hitter on LSD. I've heard that story, actually. Yeah, it's interesting, some of the properties of LSD. Actually, there are a lot of doctors, particularly psychologists who want to experiment with LSD as a treatment for depression and other mental health issues. And they're getting a bit more freedom to do it now because it's just like, no, drugs are bad. It can't possibly have any good. But there's increasing clinical evidence that it can be an active good. Yeah, I know. A lot of my drinks are green or yellow, and the webcam makes them look even more yellow. Like there's a slightly green tinge in real life, but on the webcam it's really yellow. Yes, it's in 24. That far too many of my drinks look like this when I'm drinking them. It's not a joke. Like I don't know if anyone here ever like takes Barocca or the similar tablets. There are a few brands of those, effervescent tablets that have vitamin B and whatnot, supposed to make you feel better. And I take them occasionally. It's always funny because they're usually yellow or orange or maybe a limey green color. There's a very strong coloring in them. So if you put them in the water and drink them, about an hour later, you take a piss and it's fucking fluorescent. Like it's basically your piss really is this color. Oh dear. Tara, one of your local council rangers used to get high on lethal barb. Some serious shit. I don't even know what that is. I'm not down with the street lingo. I've never heard of lethal barb. Is that like barbiturate? Is that what you're saying? Charlie, yes, the Barocca stuff makes your piss bright, makes it fucking fluorescent. It's such bright color. I remember a friend of mine used to joke because I'm not really beer. I don't drink beer at all. When I was at college, I didn't drink alcohol at all. A friend of mine who quite enjoyed his beer, he would say like, go out with him on St Patrick's Day, where the pubs would put green dye in their beer, so you drink green beer. And he's going, trouble is, you drink so much beer, you forget you've been drinking green beer, and then a couple of hours later, when you're really pissed, you go to the toilet to have a slash, and you're pissing green, and it freaks you out, and you think you're dying because your piss is green because you've forgotten you've been drinking green beer all night. Still, you watch a docudrama Wormwood, which is about CIA and MK Ultra. It's interesting. The CIA definitely, because one thing LSD and other psychoactives do can make you very either receptive or straight up susceptible to the implantation of ideas. So yeah, if you want to fuck with someone, give them massive doses of LSD and then tell them crazy shit or deliberately fuck up the environment, and you can very easily destabilize someone that way. Charlie, that's a good point. Lots of beetroot would make both your piss and your poo red, I think. Thank you right there. Nobody, people make a blood red beer. Yeah, yeah. Guys pissing red would be disconcerting. I don't think. Actually, no. I do have red drink. I red absinthe, but don't drink lots of that because it's really strong. 75% alcohol. Little. This is a sometimes drink. Like I've had this for months and it's only not even half empty. Yes, when it's this strong, and also the flavour. If you've never had absinthe, it's a very strong licorice flavour, aniseed flavour. Uh, it's a sometimes drink, not an all the time drink. 24. No, I do not encourage binge drinking or dangerous drinking. Uh, So yes, I wouldn't even chug vodka, let alone the 75%. This is alcohol poisoning waiting to happen. I mean, was it standard drinks in here? 41. That's probably about 25 standard drinks or more. There might be 30 standard drinks still in there. So that's 30 standard drinks. 3 standard drinks get you over the legal limit, and I think 10 standard drinks in an hour can kill you. So yes, chugging 30 standard drinks would kill you. Would definitely kill you. Yes, don't drink and drive. Just don't drink to excess. Yes. Yes, no, but what drinking problem? I drink, I get happy. That's not a problem. But yeah, it's like I never drink enough that like I get hangovers or I'm sick the next day. Um, because I don't know, I'm too old to fucking punish my body that way, so I don't. Be too hard to. Oh, good Lord, Charlie, absinthe and goon put you in the hospital when you were 18 for years. Yeah, absinthe is not for 18-year-olds. It's for responsible enjoyment, not binge drink. And even most of the absinthe tends to be a high alcohol drink, but most of the absinthes you get in bottle shops are about between 40 and 60%. And of course, most spirits are between 30 and 40%. And absinthe tends to be 40 to 60%. But this specialized brands, serious stuff, they go right up to 85% alcohol, which is about as much alcohol as you can maintain in a beverage. There is this stuff, Polish spiritus, rectified spirit, that some specialists carry. It's actually 95% alcohol. Uh, it's so high alcohol because I've had it because I've made. In fact, this is partly spiritus. This is partly vodka and partly spiritus. The green color is from herbs. It had herbs infused in it, so that's a natural green color. So it's like a herb tincture. Put a little bit of that in drinks. Uh, the Polish spiritus is such high alcohol. I tried this experiment with AIDSy. If you drink it straight, but if you rest it on your tongue is warm enough to make the alcohol vaporize. You can actually feel it. You can feel it on your tongue vaporizing. So, and there were a couple of deaths in Australia from stupid fucking teenagers, doing 10 shots of fucking spiritus. And it's like, oh, ruin it for everyone, kids, why don't you? My favorite thing on the bottle for this Polish spiritus, it says something about like as used in hospitals. And I went, yeah, what, to fucking disinfect surgical equipment? To put patients to sleep? I don't know. On an actual alcohol to say as used in hospitals is a little bit weird. And you're right, Stella, it might as well just be called ethanol at that point. Because I don't think you can have more than 95% alcohol in solution because it just vaporizes at room temperature. High, not telling. Yes, as much as I have this wacky persona and I'm sitting here having a drink while talking to you, I'm very against binge drinking. I'm super against peer pressuring people into drinking excessively. It's really juvenile, and I get really pissed off at people who do that. So yeah. Oh god, shit! People used to drink metho. Yeah. Oh my god, you're saying guys in the corner shops used to keep it in the freezer in the valley. Oh god, yeah, no, the valley in Brisbane is the seedy part of Brisbane. But yeah, it was, and because metho is methyl alcohol, which is toxic, whereas drinking alcohol is based on ethyl alcohol, which is less toxic. But there basically aren't safe doses of methyl alcohol. It's a poison. Mofo sign with the random topic, life extension research. I think the most interesting thing about life extension research is it's obviously going to benefit the super rich, and they'll probably leave everyone behind. Did anyone see the series that was on Netflix recently, Altered Carbon? That was a pretty interesting take on that whole idea of where the technology of extending life would go, particularly the more it goes on, the further separated the super rich were going to be from everyone else. And in Altered Carbon, the rich can just download themselves into new bodies whenever they want to. So I think, if against all odds humans find some way to deal with climate change, and so if humans are still around and we're not in some sort of Mad Max hellscape, if technology continues to grow at its current pace, it's quite reasonable to assume in 100 years, people in comfortable societies who are being born then could easily expect to live to 200. And that's being conservative. There's a whole bunch of provisos in there, but it's not at all outlandish to say that in 100 years, if society isn't completely collapsed, people in wealthy societies could quite reasonably expect to live to 200. And that's actually been quite conservative. Stella, you raise a reasonable point that humans are awful and humans dying is possibly the best thing about them. But yes, and it's easy to think that age extension technology could end up in the hands of some of the worst people. Yeah, Jatmo, climate change is a big one, because without the creation of something that doesn't exist now to completely turn things around, humanity is seriously fucked. As are 90% of life forms on the planet are seriously fucked. And whether humans get out of it, who knows? Mr. Pokemon, the millennials don't have it. I am so fucking against picking on younger generations because it's bullshit and it's happened since time immemorial, and every fucking person who says it says, oh no, it's different. This generation really is shit. It's like, fuck off. It's just no. There are elements of every generation that are shit, and there are elements of every generation who are amazing. And the idea of having a blanket statement about these young people are all shit is the most boring, unimaginative, repetitive shit. And it fucking goes back to ancient Greece, whole treatises on how the youth of today are afraid of hard work and whatnot. Like this shit, we have it documented back 3,000 years. And you can rest assured it goes back way further than that. Like if you could translate the earliest fucking cave paintings and hieroglyphics, they probably say, what's wrong with kids today? It's just boring. It's look, you don't have to be sorry, Puggy, but just the idea of, I'm going to pick on millennials. It's like, well, you know, I grew up and I have fucking baby boomers picking on Generation X, and the previous generation talked about how soft baby boomers were, and la 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 la, and it goes back into fucking antiquity, and it's boring. But everyone, whenever you point that out to someone, like actual documentary evidence that this same stupid shit has been said about every generation ever, instead of accepting it, you get people go, "Oh, it's different. This generation is definitely worse." It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you're just old and boring. By old and boring, sometimes I mean like 20 or 25. People start saying this dumb shit, thinking they're being insightful. It's not. It's not insightful. It's old and boring. 24. Problem with kids today is they watch the Pauls, like Jake and Logan. Certainly not a fan of Jake and Logan and Paul. But yes. Yeah, well, proper Wolfie is just like it's just ridiculous. Everyone has always blamed the next generation. Said the next generation is lazy, stupid, afraid of hard work, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, no, shut up, you're boring. And it's just like never stops. Oh, nobody. I'm so ready to be the old man shouting at kids to get off my lawn. Shake fist. Tell kids how easy they've got it. How I've got to. Apparently, was talking about kids wanting to be vloggers. But that's just the thing. Like previous generations wanted to be rock stars. They wanted to be movie stars. They wanted to be stage stars. Um, Kids, when asked throughout history, have always wanted to be this publicly idolized figure. And what kids see now in the last 10 years is the rise of the online video creators, and see people being really successful, um, and say, well, I want that. It's nothing new. Again, because again, people deride the video side of it, the online video side, and say it's stupid because it's no more stupid than being a film star or a pop star or a stage star or any of these things that kids have aspired to, for centuries past. It's just kids see something high profile, apparently successful, apparently loved, and they want it. Um, Melbourne mayoral elections. Ooh, Phil Cleary's running again, isn't he? I'd back Phil Cleary. And you're right, Charlie. Millennials are like, most of them are in their 30s now, yeah? 25 to 35. And yes, Gen Z kids. But I'll tell you, I got confused because sad and unimaginative media people initially called the generation after Gen X, me, Generation Y, because that's just how imaginative they are. And initially, millennials referred to the generation after that, kids born around the turn of the millennium or after. And that was millennials. But now everyone asserts that millennials is Gen Y. And it's like, damn it, no. I don't know. It's like Gen Y was Gen Y, and millennials referred to the generation after Gen Y. And now people are saying that Gen Y are the millennials and the millennials are Gen Z. Is like ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I still, you got a mortgage and eating all the fucking smashed avo you want. Yes. The Melbourne City Council only covers the actual city CBD. All around Melbourne suburbs are a bunch of other councils. So, yeah. Nobody at 33, I would say you're Gen Y, yes. And I think there's now the generation that the media talking heads call millennials. Like I say, it bugs me because originally it was Gen Y then millennials. And but now people are calling Gen Y millennial. I don't know. It's all stupid anyway, saying an entire generation's the same. It's absolutely ridiculous. Proper Wolf, how long am I planning on steaming? For about another half hour. And then I'm going to bed because I'm old. So you start again, 34, because you'd be Gen Y, but now they've started calling Gen Y millennial, and it's stupid. But this happened to me, like it was a joke, because like, okay, the satire website, The Onion, was started, which was actually originally a physical newspaper, was started by Gen X people, my generation. And there was this very lazy thing where the media talking heads, and it was baby boomers in my day, they'd referred to the generation as 20 something. And they kept saying that for like 15 years. So you've been used to being called Gen X. In your mid 30s, the media are saying Gen X still means 20 something. Cool. I've been 20 something for 15 years now. That's awesome. Okay. Well, yes, I've seen those Jennifer Yang posters. Yeah, they're all business oriented. Those people, because they want to get their voice in, and stop the council to objecting to any developments. I'd be a Phil Cleary supporter. I probably it's afternoon there in the UK. Yeah, it's 9:30 p.m. here on Thursday night. So I normally stay on till about 10, and then go to beddy buds because I've got to get up and get to work in the morning. Tuesday night I went late. I started later and went later because Wednesday was a public holiday, so I could do that. Oh, I like that. No, but you say you still got a 3G flip phone, and you've got an iPhone 4. Okay. See, I get the new ones. This is an 8? I can't even remember. This is not the current generation. This is the previous generation. Um, uh, yeah. So I know there's the iPhone X. What's the other one? Is that 9? But this is, I've had this, I don't know, for about 2 years, I suppose. So this is prior generation to current generation iPhone. Will Hart at 18, I think, I don't know, people started calling your generation Gen Z. See, I would say, Will, you would be, in my mind, you're millennial because you were like born around the millennium. But I don't know. The fucking media heads say different ones. Shabby, you've been reading a few articles. Phones are bad. Smartphone apps, they're addictive. It's working. I read 1984 when I was 13. Shit got real. Yes. Peter, you think Stephen Jolly's running in Melbourne's been doing good things about pill testing? I don't know, because I don't vote in the City of Melbourne elections because I don't live in the City of Melbourne. But yeah, I'd go Phil Cleary. He's a anti-corruption sort of independent guy, but it's probably going to be some hack from either Liberal Party or a business lobby group gets in. Yeah, no, you did the sarcasm well, Shatner. That was quite good. Probably you're 24 and don't have a smartphone. No, look, I don't think you have to. He says I really like them. Uh, I didn't get an iPhone until about the 4. I think that was the first one that had a good camera, because when I had a phone, I wanted it to have a good camera, and I think it was about the iPhone 4 that was the first one that had a good camera. Now it's got a really good camera, and the new ones have a really, really good camera. And I quite like having that with me. Well, Peter's saying he's in Yarra. Yeah, there are so many councils having elections. Fuck knows what happens in my life. I think it's only been living in this house for like a year, but it might be the same city as I was. I'm honestly not sure. I have to find that out, I guess. Yes. Yeah. See, nobody. for me, the camera has always been, since the phones started having cameras. That includes back when they were flip phones. The camera was a big decider for me, and the first couple generations of iPhone had really shitty cameras. But it was either the 3 or the 4 was the first one that had a good camera, and I've had an iPhone since then. Oh yeah, still I'm with it all the way. I've been playing. You see, addictive apps. This one, The Simpsons Tapped Out. That's I've been playing that for years. It's like, remember Farmville on Facebook? It's like Farmville except it's Springfield. You build Springfield and you have to do all these repetitive things to build it and build more buildings and whatnot. Oh no! Mr. Pokywin's doing the tank building while watching the stream, and you've dropped a bit of the tank on the floor. That's so fiddly. That's probably one reason I never got seriously into model making, because clumsy hands. I couldn't do it. No. You have an iPhone phone, it's pretty shit. Look, iPhone 4 is shit compared to other phones today, but when it was new, it was good. But I mean, the phones have jumped so many generations in quality. Yeah, an iPhone 4 camera would look shit now. Catherine, you're playing Simpsons right now. Yeah, I'll set my Simpsons to a task before I go to bed. Got to keep building my Springfield and adding characters. 24. What don't you like about the iPhone X? I don't have one, so I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, I don't do the HDR high dynamic range, which a lot of people are really into. But I played with HDR on the iPhone for a while, and I was like, nah, don't like that. Not doing that anymore. It's high dynamic range is meant to capture everything, like the light and the shadow and everything in between. 24. To me, the iPhone X would add the portrait mode to the front camera. It's got a really flash front camera. If you've never seen portrait mode, it's quite good for doing, because it blurs out. I think. Look, I'll try and show you an example. Probably can't show it on screen. I'll try and take a picture here, and I'll show it to you. See if I can do it in portrait mode. See if it'll do this. Depth effect. Where are we? Move further away. No, it's not working. Oh wait, there we go. Now that's with depth effect, and this is just a normal one. Now look, we'll see if I can show you this. Probably not. See, look, okay, this is a normal photo, my skull decanter. And you see how everything in my kitchen sink is in the same level of focus as the skull decanter. And if I now this one, I don't know if you'll be able to appreciate it, but the skull's more in focus and the background's more blurry. It's probably not translating at all, but it can make for much better photos. And the iPhone X has portrait mode on your front-facing camera for selfies. So yeah. So, but because they actually got rid of the home button, apparently there are all these millions of bloody finger gestures you've got to learn for the iPhone X, which sounds like a major fucking pain in the ass. It sounds very user unfriendly to me. But yes. So you're saying Farmville was weirdly addictive for such a shit game. Yeah, I never got into Farmville. I never got into any of the Facebook games. Fuck, do you remember years ago just getting Mafia invites? And that was the thing on Facebook. people fucking sending non-stop game invitations to your game notifications to you. So glad that doesn't happen anymore. Hello, Sebastian. Now instead of fucking game invites, you get stupid memes. Oh, and people who still do that thing, they post those quiz things with the tagline like, I bet you can't get the answer. Only 1% will get this. Geniuses only. And it's like, no, not only is that just a stupid fuck, it's virtually trolling to suck you in. Those quiz sites are basically fucking data harvesting things. It's like, oh my god, just don't fall for it. Oh, and problem with those as you say, the chain posts, people saying like, oh, how many of your friends will be brave enough to post this? Copy it to your timeline and see. And I was like, oh my god, it's like people I like do that. And it's just this, I've got to fight down this urge to stab them in the head because it's people I like. And I tend not to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? But I think it. And you're right, it's like means why do these things still exist? Because people fucking click on them. At least clickbait has died off a little bit. It's still around, but it's died off a little bit. Stella, a fish starting with S. Shark, sturgeon, starfish. No. Or were you just illustrating that those things are dumb? I think that's what you were doing. Jason, you're saying HDR is only sometimes half decent on landscapes. Yeah, I think you are probably right. Sebastian, who's this in the background? Mimsy? Mimsy, you saw she bit me. No, you want to scratch. You want to scratch. Scratch, don't you? Scratch, don't you? Yes. Yes, Jason is like people who've fallen for onion articles. I thought that's what you were doing, Stella. Yes, you were illustrating those dumb things. Yes, Mimsy is a beautiful cat. That's a good point, Peter. Kanye and Trump going on about dragon energy because of the way they hoard wealth. Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, first, anyway, the surveys grab people saying, as we now know, those rather underhanded folk at Cambridge Analytica put a thing out that not only harvested your own data, but they gave them the right to harvest all your friends' data as well. You're right about the thing about advertisements to swing the election. I know everyone's up in arms about, oh no, Facebook was played and all these Russian agitators did stuff to derail the American election. And what we know they did, whoops, what you doing, Lindsay? You going away? You finished? You had enough of us? Okay. What we now know they were doing, they were interested in basically destabilizing America as much as possible. Trump winning was the ultimate result for them. Sanders winning was the second highest result for them. They really didn't want Clinton to win. But their main focus was just disrupting and destabilizing America. And what they did by putting extreme stuff on there. They worked out how to manipulate people and put extreme emotive stuff on there that people would react to. And honestly, I found myself looking at it like, okay, everyone's up in arms going, oh my gosh, that's so immoral that they were manipulating people. And I looked at it and went, but if all they did is take advantage of the fact people are fuckheads no matter what their political persuasion. Did they do anything wrong? It was just they went, hey, look, people are idiots. You can be like a kid stirring up an ant's nest and make them all go crazy and fucking devalue their whole democracy. What a laugh. But they didn't, I mean, sure, they didn't declare what it was they were doing it. But it's like, what the? Did they? I don't know. I think sometimes people overstate what happened. If all they did was fucking highlight what dipshits people are. Yeah, like you said, proper wolf. Unethical, but was it criminal? I don't know. 24, I know you've said that before. Clinton would have started a war. I'm going to say it as gently as possible, man. That just shows a real lack of understanding of the world and how it worked. I was not a particular fan of Clinton because I think she was just an establishment hack. But as an establishment hack, she wanted to preserve the status quo. And you've seen the insane shit Trump has done with inflaming the situation with North Korea. And you can't really particularly hold it against him doing a bombing on Syria because the other Western alliance countries were 100% in favor of it, So, but it doesn't make any sense to go, oh, it would have been worse with Clinton if he would have started a war when Trump has inflamed things with North Korea to an insane degree and has actually dropped bombs on Syria. I mean, Trump has definitely made America less safe and the world in general, quite frankly. Jason, I honestly would have preferred Sanders because I just want to see what would have happened with him in power. Because it's not that I'm completely alien to a lot of Sanders's views on his socialistic tendencies. But yeah, I feel like there was a chance things could have been different with Sanders. It's impossible to know how things would have worked out. But I liked the possibility of things being different with Sanders. Clinton would have just been same boring establishment shit. Trump's just insane, dangerous, hateful, bigoted shit. But yeah. Hey, Christian, how are you? Jason, I actually agree with you. I think Trump, by accident, did the right thing opposing the TPP, but he opposed it for the wrong reasons. The TPP was insanely biased in favor of America. Good night, Stella. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, it's like Trump accidentally did the right thing opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership because his opposition was for the wrong reasons. Like, as an Australian, the TPP was shit. And yes, he wants it back now, as Jason's pointing out. The TPP's shit. It's fucking terrible. And it's secret. What we know about it is terrible, but there's whole swaths of it that are fucking secret. Now, how are you doing this major international legal agreement without anyone knowing what the agreement actually fucking is? It's ridiculous. This again, yeah. Right, proper wolf. Stop clock is right twice a day. Which doesn't make it of any value. Yeah, I honestly think Trump was accidentally right with opposing the TPP. But yeah, who knows what's going to fucking happen. 24, do I like the NBN? Well, actually, when I got the NBN connected to my house, it actually improved my internet experience. That's not the experience of everyone, but and I was really worried. I was really worried it would make my internet worse, and it didn't. Made it better. I was really relieved. So yeah, like just for a hoot, I do a speed test. And I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm not even. I don't have a physical connection to my NBN modem here. I'm doing so. It says I've got a 67 millisecond ping. Downloads looking pretty good off yon Wi-Fi. It's looking like about 42, 43, 44 MIPS up to 44 and a half MIPS. Megabytes per second. Is that what that actually means? I never know if that actually means megabytes per second. It looks like it means megabytes per second. And the upload is looking like around, it's creeping up to 20. It's like 17 and a half, almost 18 up. And see, my old connection, pre-NBN at my old house, the down would have been anywhere between 40 and 100 MIPS, depending on the day. There could be some variation, but the upload was only ever 1 or 2 MIPS. Telstra, because I had Foxtel cable, Telstra had biased the cable all for download speed. But now it's like, you know, my uploads are 10 to 20 times faster. So uploading is a fucking dream now. So I really like it. Oh, yeah, Sebastian, absolutely. NBN should be fibre to node. It really sucks that the Libs had to destroy the Labor policy just because it was a Labor policy. And also that Labor didn't get it fucking together to have enough of the NBN rolled out that the Libs couldn't fuck it up, but the Libs did fuck it up. If Labor hadn't fucked up, if they'd got the NBN rollout they planned, it would have been great, and the Libs wouldn't have been able to fuck it up. But because Telstra and the Labor government were still arguing, there was hardly any rollout, which gave the fucking Libs the opportunity to destroy it, which they fucking joyfully done. This is shit. Shellformer, you've got in just before I'm saying good night. Good evening to you. Yes, so the National Broadband Network was a major missed opportunity for Australia, which is a little bit depressing, quite frankly. So yeah, if we'd have got this thing that, you know, that everyone had minimum 100 MIP cable connections, been so good for the economy. It would have opened up so much for the country, but fucking ideology got in the way. Well, Mimsy didn't go away for long, did she? She's back now. Everyone likes you, Mimsy. They're glad you're back. Meow. Meow. 24. Australian internet broadly sucks. Mine's actually okay. But yeah. Oh, fuck. Jason, fucking Labor and the data retention Big Brother bullshit was terrible. Like Stephen Conroy was prone to say the dumbest shit. But oh man, the Libs fucking love data retention and spying on us, and the Libs are into fucking thought crime. This is what I love. Like the Conservatives in Australia going about, we're the party of free speech. Oh, the left and their political correctness. Ever since the 90s, the fucking Libs have been trying to introduce thought crime, actually making it a serious criminal offence to disagree with the government. Completely up to the government's discretion whether your disagreement was legally allowable or not. Such fucking horseshit. they're such totalitarians. And they go, oh no, we're the party of liberty, small government, free speech. No, you're not. You're fucking right-wing thugs, the bunch of you. But, you know, hey, that's just my opinion. I'm just worried, you know, that all this talk about, oh, the left are against free speech and they're the nanny state and censorship and blah, 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 blah. It's always been the conservatives who have actually prosecuted people for speech. It's the conservatives who've jailed people for things they've said, not for actually committing a criminal offense, but them declaring the words you said were you said words that are a crime, so we're throwing you in jail. It's always the conservatives who've done that. It's fucking bullshit. Jason, you missed the old comedies Fast Forward and Full Frontal and Good News Week. Yeah, comedy tends to be cyclical in Australia, and yeah. Oh, probably there's literally signs near you saying we're watching you, and the people put up a pair. Yeah, no, fucking the UK is a surveillance state. It's pretty full on the level of surveillance, you know, and this even goes back to our earlier discussions about Count Dankula being prosecuted. And as I said, I think he's a piece of shit, but I think the prosecution was bullshit. I think the degree to which um, thought crimes being prosecuted in the UK is really even with people that I really dislike. Like there's been a couple people jailed for being really hateful, like they posted really hateful stuff on some dead kid's memorial page on Facebook, and they ended up in jail. I just looked at it and went, okay, that guy's an absolute piece of shit. He's absolutely garbage. But for fuck's sake, putting him in jail? Really? Couldn't we actually limit that to the violent criminals? Um, so yeah, I'm very concerned about it. But it's always the fucking conservatives who actually prosecute people for things they say. And they stick with this ridiculous posturing and saying, oh, it's political correctness. The left and so-called progressives want to control what you say. But it's always the fucking conservatives who prosecute people for speech. It's like, it's this weird cognitive dissonance going on that they can hold two completely conflicting ideas in their head at one time. And I don't understand it. It's very strange. Anyway, so look, we're coming up to nighty nights time. So I I guess it's time to say good night. I've enjoyed, as usual, my time with you wonderful people. If you feel so disposed to do the thumbs up thing on YouTube before you go, maybe we'll trick the algorithm into thinking I'm popular. Uh, I'll be back in time. I'll see how God. You can see how work goes tomorrow. It all depends how work goes, how motivated um, I'll be to do an end of week TFU Friday video. So yes. So thank you all for joining me. Peter Thrupp, before I go, I want to echo, you've hit the nail on the head. The hypocrisy of these people on the right, like Jordan Peterson saying, stop blaming other people for your problems, and then also saying, I blame everything on postmodern neo-Marxists. It's like, why do you people self-contradict all the time? It does my head in. But anyway, that's more conversation for another time. Thank you all for your company tonight. It's been wonderful as always. And I hope to see you again. Hey, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube thing, do that. But I'll see you again later. You're all awesome. Thank you, and I'll see you again another time. Bye now.